Hi guys, this is Linda and I'm back with another Project Life Process video for the week of May 9th through 15th, 2022. In this video, I'm going to do something a little bit different because I've gotten a few requests to see my entire process start to finish, including the portion that I do on my computer. So I'm going to try that out and see how it works. This is not something that I'm going to be able to do for every week because it will take much longer to do and I think it would get a little repetitive. But I'm happy to answer any questions or include additional details in future videos if there's something that I leave out that you would like to see. So for this week, what I did first was I just pulled these 2 pages out of my Project Life album. This was last week that I just finished and I had a process video for that one. It had, the week that included Mother's Day. And then this one would be for the next week, which I haven't done yet. You can see I have these sticky notes in my album. I put those in there to designate the weeks as I'm living them so that I have a holding spot for bits of ephemera that I collect throughout the week. For this week, I only collected one little tag that I might want to include. But sometimes I do collect a lot. Sometimes I forget to collect anything, but I did just save one little thing this week. I also, the very first thing I do that I did do off camera was I go through my Day One app where I keep a detailed log of kind of everything that happened every day. I just spend a couple minutes every morning documenting or typing out what happened the day before so that when I'm ready to document that week, I can go back to that app and see what happened. So I just make some quick notes on here to get an idea of what stories I want to include. I often will go back and look at that app during my journaling so that I can get more of the details. Sometimes I will copy it word for word. Sometimes I will paraphrase, just depending on the size card that I'm trying to fill and if I am handwriting or typing. So for this week, I'm going to work with the Delight Story Kit from Ali Edwards. So that's my very first step. Here, because I'm working with a story kit, which is themed, I want to look at the kit before I really look at my photos. And keep in mind, I do have this note, so I do know generally what stories happened this week. And I did pick this kit for this week because I have stories that will fit with it. But I'm gonna look at the kit first to get an idea of how to frame my stories and what cards I wanna use and what photos I wanna select. Sometimes I do the photos first, and I will do that if I'm working with the Stories by the Month kit or for my stash or a Studio Calico kit. I will often do my photos first, but for a story kit, I look at the story kit first because it is way more specific. I chose the Delight Story Kit because this week there were quite a few delightful things that happened. My daughter had prom. She got her braces off. We celebrated her 17th birthday, which actually happened the following Monday, but we went out to dinner this weekend. So it's gonna fall into this week. And just a few other little delights here and there. She had her last track meet. I'm trying to just kind of go through here and see. I got a lot of things checked off my to-do list. I spent some time relaxing. I ate sushi twice. It was really nice weather. There were just a lot of little things. So I feel like this was a perfect week to use the Delight Story Kit. This is a refrigerator bin tray, and I do keep my current story kits in this, and I have not yet played with the Delight Kit at all. I do have different organizers in each of the trays. This one I just pulled out to use for this specific kit because the different pieces fit into it well. I don't have the stamp in here because it is over to be organized in my stamp organization, but I will grab it before I start crafting so that if I do want to use it, I have it available. So the first thing I'm gonna do is kind of go through the kit and look at the things. These story cards, I love these, but I don't like to use them in Project Life. You can, but you would have to kind of put them on the outside of the pocket like this. And I don't wanna do that this week. That's just something, I could do it, but that's just not what I want, the direction I want to go. So I'm going to save those. There's this large delight word, which might be a little fun, actually. I got to think about what I want to do if I want to use this. I wasn't planning on it, but that's something to keep in mind. I'm just gonna take it out. These I'm gonna leave in here, but there's some little confetti. So because there's confetti, I think I wanna do a shaker pocket. So I'm going to keep that in mind. These little cork speech bubbles could be fun. Then there's the chipboard, which are also speech bubbles. And I'm just going to kind of keep those sentiments in mind as I go through selecting my photos and everything. There's these heart puffies, which are perfect for my embellishment clusters. You know, I always like to do some sort of repeated embellishment cluster, so I will probably use those. And then I'm going to put this to the side and go through the cards. So when I'm going through the cards, excuse me, one of the things I look for is what am I going to do for my title card and what cards do I want to include in the middle. Now I do see I have a lot of stories this week, so I'm going to kind of keep that in mind. I have a lot of photos. I might end up actually doing an insert. So I'm going to start with the 4x6. And I think I actually really like this one for my title card, so I'm just going to stick that there for now. So this one is a journaling one. Here would be another title type card. I think I'm going to save that one. It's a journaling card, but I don't think that that quote really fits because it's like for outdoorsy stuff. So I'm going to put this as like a stack of cards I'm not going to use. This one is a prompt card, which I do like prompt cards, but it's a little hard to do going back in time. Even though this was only a couple weeks ago, I'm still working to catch up a little bit. So I don't think that these are really fitting for this week. So I'm going to put that aside. That one's a maybe. This one I love, and I wish I had thought of it prior to this week, because if I had collected more things, these would have been really fun to crop down and put there, but it's not going to work for this week, so I'm going to put that to the side. I also think I'm not going to use this one because the macarons don't really fit this week. So this one's a maybe. That one I'm going to use for my title card, and now I'm going to go through the 3x4s. I definitely want to use this card. That is just a sentiment that I live by. That's something I'm really wanting to do with this point in time in my life, so I'm going to include that. This delight details, this gives me a spot to tell 3 little stories of delight, so I'm going to include that one. Those two might go together. This one I think is very perfect for cutting out, so I'm going to put that on a 4x6 pocket with the idea I'm going to cut it out and put on top of a photo. This is kind of like a negative delight. I'm not sure if I want that as a filler card for this week. I do have something that was a negative I have a couple negatives this week. But I don't think I want to use that, so I'm going to put that to the side. This is a good background card. For those, I tend to include something like this would be on top of it, or another one of the embellishments, or I could put a photo on it. So I'm going to put that as a maybe. I don't think I want to use this one. I don't really have an idea for that. Delight in the mess. I feel like that's not really, well, maybe. That's a maybe. This one is a no for this week. This one is like little moments of delight, but I feel like so is this one. So that's a maybe, but I'm not sure. I think this one is perfect for the story of my daughter getting her braces off, so I'm going to use that. Just delightful. I think this one is good in kind of a sarcastic way for my work story. I have a work story this week that was a, well, that's delightful kind of story, so I'm going to use that. And then I think this one would be good for prom. So I'm going to use that for journaling for prom. And then these ones are maybe, so I'm going to put those to the side. So what I'm seeing here is I have a lot of cards I want to include. I know I have a lot of photos. I have a lot of stories this week. So I think I want to do an insert because I also kind of wanted to do a shaker pocket. So I'm going to just kind of put that. And if I do an insert, so if I do a shaker pocket here, I have to plan for it for the next week. If I do it on an insert, it stays in this week. So I actually pulled this one aside. Oh, it looks like I got something on it. So I'll probably grab it. Oh, no, it's clean. I pulled this one aside thinking I can do a bunch of 3x4s, maybe even cut it off and just do 6 3x4s, and one of them being a shaker pocket. But I was also thinking it'd be fun to put this in the shaker pocket. Delight. So if that's the case, I need 4x6s. So I'm going to kind of think about that. I'm going to actually go grab over one with 4x6s and have this one in mind when I go to edit my photos. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab that alternate page protector. Then I'm going to turn my camera off from here. I'm going to go over to my computer and show you guys how I go through my photos on my computer and start printing them out. And I will take you through my process which is going to be back and forth from here to my computer, back to here when I am finally putting the page together. Okay guys, I'm over on my computer and I am in my Adobe Photoshop Elements. I have this canvas opened up, which is an 8.5 by 11 canvas that I have saved to my computer as print page, and it's just a JPEG file that I open every time when I want to print on my computer, when I want to print photos. So because I'm working on week May 9th through 15th, this is how I store my photos. I have a folder for every month in the year, and then a folder within that for every week. I have these folders here are the ones that I have left that I'm still scrapbooking from. Older ones go into the My Photos folder. So I'm working through this one right here, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through all of these photos. So these are all of the photos that I took that week. Some are screenshots, some are photos that I don't really need to save, some were for Instagram, some are real photos, and I will go through and purge photos, but that's a different process later, and so I'm not going to share that one with you. But what I do is I go through and kind of just look at a slideshow of photos of random things that I have and pick out the ones that I think I want to include. So there's this one of me on the front step. I think I want to include this, but it is a square. I'm not sure if I have an original that's not, so I'm going to just open that one for now. So once I have a photo that I think I want to include, I'm going to go here and then tile those two windows together. So I have the photos I'm selecting from here and my print page over here. And from there on, I'm going to just drag and drop all the ones I might want to use over here. So these ones right here that are saved with this like ACS thing name, you can see, those were ones that I edited in a color story. So those are the ones that I have already kind of selected as the best photos for the week because I edited them ahead of time on my phone, usually for Instagram, or these ones were for another scrapbook project. So that's kind of just, I already know that these are the best photos from that event because I already edited them. So I'm going to kind of narrow down and only include a few of these prom photos. I already did a layout of my daughter's prom for her album, but I'm going to go through and select some of the best ones. Let's see, one of the ones of her with her boyfriend. I'm just going through all of them and kind of comparing and picking the one that I think is the best. And I think it's kind of, sorry if this is too slow for you, but I wanted to do some of this in real time so I could kind of talk through the process. She put her dog in a prom dress, so I think I definitely want to include one of those. And then this one, I thought that was a really cute photo of her pinning the boutonniere on his jacket. So I want to include that. And then unfortunately I didn't get much like great ones of her by herself, but I did get this one with the dog, so I want to include that one. And then I'm just going to keep going through. So I have, see, this is some stuff I did for Instagram for my 100-day project. I'm not including those, of course. This was a film strip from the prom. I'm not including that. Some screenshots from a Zoom call I had from a YouTube. And then I screenshot random like Instagram things and stuff that I want to save, but I don't necessarily want to include on my in my project, which is fine. So I'm just kind of going through and picking out the ones that I might want to include. So I have these of me playing video games with my cat on my lap, and I think that this is perfect for delight because it's a very little delight. My homemade blanket, my cat, just relaxing. So I want to include that. These were new leggings. I was looking at comparing my different leggings, so definitely not using that. My new espresso maker, which I do want to do something for that, but I think I have a better photo later. So here's a big story. My daughter got her braces off. So here's the before. So I think I want to include that in somehow. And then these are my after photos. So I'm going to pick the best one. I think this one. Her getting her braces off because that is definitely a huge delight from this week. And then we went out to lunch. I think it's not a great photo, but I want to document that story, so I'm going to use that photo. And then I went and I collect rainbows, and I found this rainbow, which I think is adorable. So I want to include that because that's a small delight from the week. This was me shopping for my daughter, getting her braces off. And here was her little like celebration kit. So I do want to document that. You can see I'm starting to have a lot of photos here. These were my apple trees. So I have apple trees that are just starting to bloom. So I want, let's see, here's me watering it. I want that. And I do want, I'm trying to think, I think I want this one with the flowers. Just the starting of the bloom I think would be great. Then let's see here. A lot of these, see here's some stuff I just saved for inspiration. It's playing with a photo app. My friend suggested I'm not going to use those in here. Just random screenshots of things. I think I want, like, this is pretty, the sun, my cat looking out the window, the roses, or my flower bouquet that I got for Mother's Day. I think that that's just a fun photo. I got a raise this week, so I'm going to document that, but not with the photo of my check stub. So here's my daughter's last track meet. So I have all these photos of her running. I'm trying to think if any of them are really that good. I don't know. And then here's my first attempt to make a mocha latte at home on my new espresso maker. So I'm definitely documenting that. Okay, so here is that photo, the original, as a 4x6. So I think I'm going to use that one. And I'm going to go here and close out this square photo because this one's rectangular. I can print it as a 4x6. And then, let's see, more progress on my trees. So there's just so many things I want to include. There's with that rainbow on the wall. I do really like this one, but I also like that one of my cat. I probably won't include both of them, but I'm going to just open them because this is the start of my process. I open all of the photos that I might want to include. So these are all the original prom ones. I'm just going to go through that quickly because there were so many. And I already had picked out my favorites and edited them in the Color Story app. So I don't have to go through and narrow it down again to get through all of these photos. You can see I took a million photos because, I mean, how many times does your daughter go to prom, right? Oh, although I did take, I don't think I edited. These are horizontal photos, 4x6s. I might want to do one of those. We'll see. I think I don't. I think I want the 3x4, so I'm not gonna. Some Snapchat she sent me from prom. Okay, so here's me making my espresso. I'm gonna do that one. And let's see, what else do I have? My internet, random things. Celebrating her birthday, definitely need that photo. And there's a bunch of just random things. Here, I'm going to do this one of me on my Zoom call rather than the screenshot of my Zoom call because I think I loved that pumpkin joined in on the Zoom call. And then I think that's it. There's me taking some photos. And yeah, so that's it. So that is my starting point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and narrow down these photos. That's just way too many. I definitely want to do an insert, but that's still going to be too many photos. So I'm going to go ahead and put you on fast forward and go through and select the photos I want and begin the process of cropping and printing them. Okay, so when I have this many photos to choose from, it's kind of a lot to just start really narrowing them down. So what I do first is just print some of the ones that I know I'm going to include. So I know I want to do my daughter's prom. That's definitely going to be documented. And I'm pretty sure I want to do that on the insert. So I'm thinking, if I'm doing these 3x4 ones, I have 6 pockets on the insert, 6 3x4 pockets. One of them is going to be my shaker pocket. One is going to be for journaling. That leaves room for 4 photos. So I'm just going to narrow down the prom photos to 4 3x4 photos and print those. So you can see what I do. Once I've chosen a photo, I use the resize to make it down the image size to 3 inches by 4 inches and 300 dots per inch. And then I always save it. I just like to save all of these because that gives me a backup in case something happens when I print it and I need to reprint. And then I just drag and drop them over onto my print page. You can see sometimes I have to rotate them to get them to fit. That's totally fine. That just shows me that's how it's going to print out. And on an 8.5 by 11 paper, I can get 3 4x6 photos or 6 3x4 photos or any kind of combination of that. So I know I want to include this photo of me with this rainbow that I purchased. So I'm just going ahead and saving that and going to print that one as well. And you can see once I've printed a photo or put it over on my print page, then I close it out on the right-hand side so that I no longer have it to select from. And this way I'm kind of able to narrow down photos. So I know I want to include those braces ones, but I'm not going to do it yet because I'm not entirely sure what size I want to print them or if I want to do some digital editing. But I do know I want to print this one as a 3x4, so I'm going to go ahead and do that and start with these 6 3x4 photos. And as I go through this process, you can see I will just narrow it down a little at a time until all of my pockets are filled and I have gone through all of my photos. And if there's some left over at the end, those ones just won't get printed. And if I don't have enough, then I will come up with some, I'll go back to my original folder with photos from the week and I will select some additional ones or find photos online or something else to fill those pockets. So here is it being printed in super high speed. I just wanted to show this once so you can see kind of my printer and the entire process. And I will take this out from my printer and head on over to my desk. Okay, I'm back over here at my desk and I just have this one page printed out. So normally when I'm filming a video, I will print all of my photos and then come over to my desk and do the process for you. But if I'm doing it on my own without filming, I tend to print one page at a time and go back to my computer. So that's what I'm gonna do for you today. So I'm gonna push that out of the way and grab my trimmer and go ahead and trim these out. Okay, so the next step is to kind of lay out these photos where I think they're gonna go. So I have the left-hand side here. I have the right-hand side here of my spread. I can move these cards over. And then I have my potential inserts here, which it's a little harder to get everything on the screen with an insert, but I'm gonna try my best here. So what I do is lay out the photos that I have so I kind of get an idea of what other sizes and shapes I can print. So my insert, I know I want either the front or the back is going to be about prom. So I printed 4 photos from prom. I think I'll do the 2 boyfriend ones together and like these 2. Or actually, I probably will maybe go like this. I'm not sure. But I'm thinking I'm going to cut this edge off. I'm going to do a shaker pocket right here. I'm thinking maybe putting like this in the shaker pocket or one of these, and then the back of the shaker pocket I'm going to keep in mind too, because I might want to put, some of these in here. And the back, I think, is going to document either, I was thinking the braces, but also my daughter's birthday, I could put a 17 in the shaker pocket. So that's just something I'm keeping in mind. So I think this is going to be the front. And then this was going to be my journaling for prom. So this is kind of how I'm going to do this. I think I like it like that. Yeah, I like that. And then I like this one because of the pinks. So that's the front of my insert. So I'm not going to do the delight inside the pocket. I would have had to do it on this one. And then I would have needed like 4x6 photos. And I know I could do what I did last week and put the 3x4s on it, but I like it like this. So I'm going to stick with the 3x4s and put this away. And then let's see, move into some of my other stories. So this was kind of a meh story. So I'm going to put that there. This is about the braces. So this is also about braces. And this is about delighting in the small things. So I think I might do the first part of here is going to be stories about me kind of delighting in the small things. We're going to do prom. The back of that, I think it's going to be my daughter's birthday, although I don't have enough to fill the full thing, but that's okay. This goes along with that, but I don't know that I have a spot for it. I might end up just not using it. We'll see. And then these are for the braces. So braces, I think, is going to be here. So I have, this is kind of like her treat for after braces, but I think, so I have the after braces and the before braces kind of picture here, the before she got them taken off and then the after. And instead of doing 2 3x4s, I might put something together in Photoshop to have it fit on a 4x6 there. So that's just something to keep in mind. So I do think I need another journaling card about her birthday, so dinner. So I'm gonna do this one on the back of this. So what I'm actually gonna do, just to make this easier, logistically putting this together, I'm gonna slip these in the pocket so I can flip this over and work on the other side, because I know that this is kind of how I wanna do it. And I'm not gonna trim those off quite yet, but the plan really is to trim that off. And I'm gonna just stick these in the pocket for now. The idea that the back of that is going to have a number 17 in there. And then this is going to be about celebrating her birthday. And I have a photo, so I know I'm gonna print that one probably on my next page. And so this is where I am now. I'm gonna go ahead and move back to the computer and print some more photos. Okay, so back on the computer, you saw I deleted all of the photos on my print page. I don't actually save them on there. I just use it to print. And then I'm going through and selecting some more photos to print. These ones that have not been edited previously in an app on my phone, such as a Color Story. In addition to resizing them, I'm also changing the brightness and contrast to make them a little bit brighter. A photo on the computer screen always should look a little brighter than you want it when it's printed, because of the way that the computer is backlit. It will print slightly less bright than it looks on the screen. So I knew I wanted this one as a 4x6. I had those two as 3x4s, and then I wanted to include this one as a 4x6 as well. So I went with these ones to print, and I'm not really worrying about the rest of the photos right now or making sure I have enough spots or anything like that. I'm just printing a page at a time and going back and forth to my desk to see how they fit. So here I'm back at my desk and I'm just cropping everything out. And you can see there my layout, and as I crop them, I'm putting them out. So like that one of me on my front step, I know I want to include that heart cut out from that one card, and those two, I want to, that photo of my daughter, I want to include with that tag right there. And I decided to pull over that card from the kit as a base. I knew I wanted some sort of base for it because it was a 3x4 and I had a 4x6 pocket. Now I'm back on my computer. I know I want to print this one of my daughter for her birthday, but the lighting in the restaurant was really awful. So I tried a few things to mess with the color balance and it still looked awful. So I just switched it to black and white, which is always an option when you have poor quality lighting in a photo. This photo of my coffee, my espresso machine, I'm cropping down to a 4x6 to include. And then I decided, so there were these two photos on my desk and I wanted to choose one of them. So I decided to go with this one because the lighting was better and that rainbow was on the wall, even though my cat is not there. But I did want to include one of these photos because it shows, what my desk looks like right now, my flowers from Mother's Day, and that rainbow. So I'm looking through the rest of my photos to kind of see what else do I know I want to include. And I knew I wanted to include this one of me playing video games and cuddling with my cat, because that is definitely a story of a little delight of what is going on right now in my life. And there you go. I have 4 photos to print again. And so once again, I move back over to my desk and I'm going to crop them out before I decide how I want to lay them out on the page. Okay, so let's see where I am. So the first page here, I always, for some reason, I like to put a photo here that is just pretty and doesn't really have a story. I don't do that every week, but that's just kind of like a habit I've gotten myself into. So I'm going to do some little delights this week that are going to be focused on me and just like happy joys. And delight in the small things. For that, I have this one to go on here. I think I'm going to move this over here because there's a filler card there and the coffee can go together. I probably will put something embellishing on there. I was thinking, you know, the story of the morning delight kind of makes sense, but I also don't really want to cover my coffee cup. So maybe I'll put that on here actually. So even though I'm not really a huge fan of these sentiments, I don't know, it might work. So that's the front. Now, as you know, I already have this piece done, which is for prom. And then the back here, so this top story is about my daughter's birthday. I don't have another thing to go there. So I think I don't have another photo from her birthday. I really just didn't take many photos when we went to celebrate. I wasn't feeling the best. So I might just create a filler card about it. And then I have this here. I'm going to put this one here. And these, let's see. So this is the story of her braces. So here I'm going to do the before and after. I have these two to fill with more photos. And then I have to come up with a photo to go here. So I know I need 2 more 4x6s, 2 more 3x4s. And then this one I will create something off the computer or, with paper. So I'm going to go back to my computer and pick those last 2 3x4s and 4x6s to print. And then I will come back over here and go ahead and put this spread together. Okay, I'm back on my computer for my very last page to print. I knew I wanted to include these photos of my apple tree, and I had those 2 3x4 pockets left on my insert, so I thought that the 2 of these photos together would fit perfectly right there, and I could just include this story without a journaling card or anything, just have the photos. For the photo of my daughter getting her braces off, I knew I needed to do a 4x6. And so I decided to just crop that vertical photo into a horizontal 4x6 photo. And then because this photo of the before wasn't really as great of a photo, I just took it quickly in the car. I'm just making a very small photo. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on top of the 4x6 photo in a little insert that just shows that it is the before and after. And you'll see that more when I go over to my desk. But because it was smaller, I could fit it there on the edge of the paper. Then I didn't have any more photos already picked out to print, so I went back to my folder for this week and I found one of my daughter's track meet because I hadn't selected any in the beginning because I had already had so many photos for this week. And I just picked one that I could print as a 4x6 to fill that final pocket. And I lucked out that the number of photos I needed were the right amount to fill the page. Sometimes they're not, and I have some extra space left, and I will just print an extra photo maybe for the following week. Just one that I know I'm going to use just to finish off that page so I don't waste any photo paper. Okay, so now I have all of my photos printed. All of my pockets have something in them to kind of get an idea of what goes where. And if I was going to type any journaling, I would do that now. Sometimes if I was going to use a digital card, for example, for here, I would be doing that. Or if I was going to type and print on vellum and put it on some of these, which I've done recently, then I would go do that on the computer. But for this one, I'm going to handwrite everything. What I did do is I went over to my December daily supplies and pulled out, I have a little baggie for each number, and this is the number 17. So my daughter turned 17 this week, so I wanted to put a 17 in this confetti pocket. I was hoping that I had a white one, but I don't. I do have this gold one, I have this cork one, and I have this wood one. I think I'm going to use the cork one because I also have the cork speech bubbles this week. So I think that will be really fun. And so I'm going to go ahead and put you on fast forward and put the rest of the spread together. Okay, so now is the part of the process video where you usually come in. Well, I guess you usually do see me cropping out my photos. But as you can see, this video is much longer than usual because all of that work that I put in on the computer prior to the crafty part where I'm actually putting the spread together. So now I'm going through the process pocket by pocket and filling everything in. I added my dates on my title card there, and then the next thing I did was added that heart onto the photo of me drinking my coffee on the front porch. After I adhered it, I realized I would have probably preferred it on the other side of me because it seems a little squished right there, or maybe going off the page a bit now that I'm looking at it as I'm doing the voiceover, but it's fine how it is. So I'm journaling about 3 little delights from this week right here. I'm telling about the story about how I am playing Wii this week to kind of unwind from all the stress, and how I got my new espresso maker and I'm making my own mochas, and then how I got my raise this week. It actually came through from my promotion that I got about, maybe a month or so prior. It finally caught up and came in through a paycheck. So for my little embellishment clusters, what I decided to do was pair some word phrase strips on top of these puffy heart stickers from the kit. So I pulled out a few different word phrase strip sets from my stash in white and gray, and I'm using those to pull from as I'm embellishing my cards. So because I'm working with an insert and there's so much on my desk here, it just is nice to put everything in the pockets and before I move on to the next spread, just to get it out of the way. So that's what I went ahead and did there. For this one, I'm adhering this photo of my daughter when we went out to lunch, and then we did some shopping. So I have the tag from the item I bought, and I adhered them on that card in such a way that it covered up the text and I could just use the pretty background. So then I'm trying to put this insert of my daughter as inset, photo of my daughter pre-braces, getting her braces off on the top corner of the photo of her after she got her braces off. And I was looking through the cards in the kit and nothing really worked. So what I did was I pulled over the marketing from the story stamp, and I just used a little bit of that as a background to adhere that photo on. So I'm pulling over my stamp organization binder, and I do have a full other video explaining how I create and use this binder. But I'm looking through the stamps for something that says before and after. And I have noticed this in the past. The only before and after I have are those really huge ones. And I really wish I had some smaller stamps that say before and after, because that seems to be a sentiment that I want a lot. So if anyone has any recommendations for a stamp set that says before and after in a smaller size font than that, please let me know. So I'm trying to figure out how I want to do it on this photo of my daughter, and I decided to go with the really large after, but I'm just not going to do the word before because there isn't a small before, which is fine. So I get Stays On ink and I stamp it on my photo here of her where it says after. And then I'm trying to think of how else I want to embellish that. And I end up using one of the cork speech bubbles, and I go through the word phrase strips for a few word phrase strips that work for this. I pulled out the word summer because that is my daughter's name. And, I really like to be able to use the embellishments that say her name as, her name, which I think is super fun. So next I'm going to work on this journaling card here, which says, just delightful. And it's just about an annoying work story this week. I can't actually journal about the work story on camera, but it is about a tax called PTET that I work on. I'm a tax attorney. So I did stamp out the word PTET across the top, and I pulled one of the word phrase strips that I had pulled out that says, do what you can with what you have. And I'm putting it across the title there. Now I'm moving on to this photo of me and Pumpkin on a Zoom call. And I got the word delight, the large delight word, and I just stapled it down on there. It's a little bit large, but I really like how it looked, and I like that I was able to use it in the spread. And it's just kind of fun to have that there. So now I'm just going through and trying to see what else I want to include. And all of these chipboard pieces are speech bubbles. And that reminded me of the Stories by the Month kit that just came out. I believe it was the June one. Also had speech bubbles. And I did want to include some additional journaling from this week because I don't have a catch-all card like I normally do. And I had a lot of stories and photos that didn't have space for me to journal. So I pulled over these speech bubbles, and I'm using them as journaling spots on a couple of my photos because it gives me space to tell those extra stories And the speech bubbles go really well with the speech bubble chipboard pieces in the kit. I'm adding one down here to journal about my Zoom call, and that one at the top, I had added some journaling about my daughter's last track meet, which this week was her last track meet for the season. And I also paired it with a speech bubble chipboard. And I know speech bubbles are kind of like talking, but to me, it's just another shape that I can use. And it doesn't really matter that it is a speech bubble and no one's really, talking in the photo. I'm just going through all my word phrase strips and trying to think about any other embellishments I want to include. And I just added one there quickly on that journaling. And now I'm moving on to the story of my daughter getting her braces off. I added another of that repeating embellishment cluster of a word phrase strip on top of one of the puffy hearts on that photo of all of the treats I got for my daughter after she got her braces off. And then on this card that says, "Gasp, oh so delightful," I'm journaling about the story of getting her braces off and us going out to lunch right afterwards and shopping. And I thought that this card was a perfect sentiment, and this kit was perfect to document the delight of finally getting her braces off after, I believe it was slightly more than a year that she had them on. So now I'm going through and putting the things in the pockets, trimming them down, and checking out some last little bits that I want. This card right here, I decided that I do really love how it looks, but because the way the word gasp is like the G and the P go down really far, there's kind of a gap right there. And so I do go back and add a word phrase strip on it. And then on this card, I decided to add one of the chipboard pieces just to fill in a little bit of that space right there. And I put some word phrase strips on top of it, kind of to repeat that same format that I was using on some of the other embellishments on this spread. So you see there, I added that word phrase strip. And I just trimmed this photo down because it was sticking out of the top of the pocket, and I'm putting those to the side, and now I'm going to work on my insert. So I'm going to start here with the journaling this is the story of my daughter's junior prom. She went to junior prom the Friday this week. So I have some photos here, and I just pulled out 4 photos to include in here. I had a ton of photos that I took, and I did a whole spread about it in her album, which I've already documented and shared on my Instagram. But here I just wanted to include this in the family album as well and tell the story of her prom. And so I selected 4 photos for this, and now I'm going to go ahead and trim this insert down and work on my pocket there, my shaker pocket. First, I decided to do a little bit of embellishing on these photos. I add a stamp to one of them, and then I go ahead and add another heart with a word phrase strip on that photo of my daughter and her boyfriend. Just a few simple embellishments that coordinate across the spread so that everything goes together. Now I'm going to work on this shaker pocket. So the first piece was to put this confetti in it that came in the kit, in the Delight Story kit, because that was the inspiration for doing the shaker pocket. And then I went and got some sequins from my stash and added some of those in there as well. I added the 17 in, but I put it backwards on purpose because it goes with the back side of the insert here. And then I have this speech bubble chipboard piece. I added some white, so it's got sticky on the back, and I'm just adding a piece of the cardstock from that marketing card that came with the story stamp that I already cut from earlier in my spread. I'm just adding some on the back here so that it has some solid white paper on the back. And then what I did was I went back to my stamp binder and found some stamps that said happy birthday. And I'm stamping happy birthday on the back of this speech bubble. So on the back, it's going to say happy birthday, but on the front, it says, "Gah, so darn good," which was what the speech bubble chipboard piece had on it. And so the front side is going to go with the prom photos, and the back side is going to go with the story of my daughter's birthday. So I'm just kind of moving everything around in that pocket. I considered putting something else in it, but it's super full. And then I took it over to my sewing machine and stitched it closed. And now I'm just pulling the threads through and tying them off before I move on. I'm just quickly tying them off. And I know, you get some like little loose ends, and I don't really care how that looks. I think it looks really kind of cute. Now I'm working on the back side of this spread. I have that the photo of my daughter with her birthday cake when we went out to dinner. And I'm just adding, again, another one of the hearts with word phrase strips. And then at the top there, I have this card where I'm journaling about going out for her 17th birthday. We went to her favorite restaurant around here, or one of her favorite restaurants, her favorite Italian restaurant. And I think it's also probably my favorite Italian restaurant. And so I journaled about what we got, and we never get dessert there, but we did because it was her birthday and it was delicious. So we're going to have to do that again. And then I am moving on to these cards here at the bottom that are telling the story of my apple trees. I decided to not really add any additional journaling to them, and I just added a embellishment. And now I'm going to this filler card here that I knew I wanted to put some sort of embellishment on. I went and looked through my stash. I had pulled out a patch that I thought I wanted to use, but I decided to just go with one of the chipboard pieces from the kit because why not? You know, it coordinates and it works well, and it's just so easy to pull everything from the kit. So next I'm doing some stamping on this little Avery index tab here because I'm going to add that on to this insert because it is going to be smaller than my full pages. I like to add a tab on them sometimes so that I can, it just kind of indicates that there is an insert there. So I put my kit away, and here is a look at the completed spread. Here's the left-hand side with that insert, and here's the right-hand side. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Thanks, bye.